I'm willing to lead troops to fight for His Majesty and suppress these people of foreign races. When Bai Yun heard Zhou Zhou's words, she immediately stood up without hesitation. I'm also willing to cooperate with Legion Commander Bai Yun to fight for His Majesty and eliminate these people of foreign races together. Wu Tu also stood up and said firmly, "Okay. But tomorrow we'll bide our time. Pay attention to setting up defenses around the kingdom. Make sure that no matter where something happens, our soldiers and god spirits can rush over immediately." Zhou Zhou thought for a moment and said, "Yes, Your Majesty." Bai Yun and Wu Tu agreed without hesitation. Then, Bai Yun asked, "Your Majesty, do you think that these people of foreign races will launch a surprise attack on our blazing sun kingdom tomorrow?" "To be precise, it should be Uriel." Zhou Zhou nodded and said, "This fellow is known as a potential Master God tier not only because his potential has reached the Master God tier level, but also because he has a firm will, is decisive in his actions, and has a tenacious and bold personality. Our blazing Sun Kingdom's forces don't even need to deliberately inquire about information. It's obvious that they're growing day by day. Uriel will never allow us to continue growing stronger in order to complete the mission assigned to he by the higher-ups. If he continues to grow stronger, we will be looking for him instead of him coming to look for us. He will probably attack tomorrow. Defend yourselves. If they don't attack after half a day, we'll do something else." The reason why he had such a bold guess was not only because he knew Uriel very well, but more importantly, his Lord Talent intuition vaguely told he that a powerful enemy would suddenly appear in the country tomorrow. If he dared to lead troops out to battle, he would probably know that his home had been stolen halfway. Zhou Zhou was naturally unwilling to accept such a thing happening. Therefore, even with his Talent intuition and Lord Talent, there was a chance that he would make a mistake. He had to stay in the kingdom and wait for the enemy to arrive. It didn't matter even if the enemy didn't appear in the end after all. He just wanted peace of mind. The foundation of the Blazing Sun Kingdom was too important to Zhou Zhou. He didn't want any accidents to happen here. "Yes, Your Majesty," Bai Yun and Wu Tu said respectfully. Then, Bai Yun said, "Your Majesty, I have an idea." "What kind of ideas?" Zhou Zhou asked. "If Uriel wants to launch a sneak attack on our Blazing Sun Kingdom tomorrow, why don't we beat him at his own game? We'll first send some people disguised as our army to pretend to leave the kingdom and head to the territory of the enemy people of foreign races to carry out a conquest. After Uriel and the others find out, they will definitely let down their guard and launch a sneak attack on our country even more boldly. In this way, when they arrive in our Blazing Sun Kingdom and are about to launch an attack, our main army hidden in the country will suddenly appear and catch they off guard. At the same time, the soldiers we sent out will suddenly return to reinforce us and work together from the inside to eliminate all these enemies." Bai Yun suggested her own plan. Upon hearing this, Zhou Zhou began to think seriously. Soon, he felt that Bai Yun's plan was not bad. Uriel was cautious by nature. This could be seen from the fact that the other party had been waiting for an opportunity to recruit soldiers and buy horses for a long time after coming to the High Continent. If not for the fact that the development of his territory was getting more and more terrifying, the other party would probably continue to recruit troops for a period of time. They would only really appear after they were completely confident of winning with a single strike. If he suddenly did not move and defended his territory with all his might tomorrow, the other party would definitely be more cautious. They might even change their strategy. This would definitely not be good news for his side. If he followed Bai Yun's plan, not only would it be much easier to counterattack, but he could also completely cut off the other party's escape route and prevent them from escaping. Even though I have the 9 Worlds Divine Demon Dreamfall array that can prevent most enemies from escaping my territory, as the Master God tier seed of a top-race civilization like the Titans, Uriel might have a way to crack my 9 Worlds Divine Demon Dreamfall array. Bai Yun's strategy can also prevent this from happening. Zhou Zhou nodded. "Let's do as you say." "Yes, Your Majesty," Bai Yun said respectfully. "By the way, Your Majesty, this is the summary of today's war." With that, Bayun also opened a projection through her personal terminal, which was next to the projection of Wu Tu's intelligence map. Zhou looked at it. They did not gain any points from it as they had been fighting in the Shadow Clan all day and had not eliminated the target of the Eye of the Heaven's anger. He opened the rankings and took a look. First place, Human, Lord of the Blazing Sun, 7.79 billion faction points. Second place, Original Spirit Race, True Lord, 7,132 million faction points. Third place, Shepherd's God Race, Heaven Chasing Lord, 5,611 million faction points. Fourth place, Chaos God's Race, Great One Lord, 4,922 million faction points. Fourth place, Myriad Spirit Race, Spiritual Venerable Lord, 4,912 million faction points. This true Lord of the original Spirit Race is catching up quite quickly. Yesterday, this guy only had 5.1 billion faction points. Today, he has 7.1 billion faction points. Even though this efficiency is not as high as my continuous hunting of the Eye of the Heaven's anger, it's not far off. Looks like I have to mention the efficiency of killing the target of the Eye of the Heaven's anger. Zhou thought to himself. Fortunately, today was only the 18th day of the King of 10,000 Kings activity. There were still 12 days left. He still had enough time to widen the gap between him and these top-notch lords, so he was not in a hurry. In addition, there was something worth noting. The Myriad Spirit Race's ranking had been surpassed by the Chaos Gods race. Zhou was not surprised. Even though the Myriad Spirit Race was considered a top-race civilization, it was still inferior to the Chaos Gods race after all. It was expected that they would be surpassed. He closed the faction points ranking and continued to look at the war. They had eliminated more than 120.6 billion Shadow Clan soldiers and people of foreign races, 1,143 god spirits, and 9 true god tiers in the Shadow domain. The war supplies left behind by these enemies, the racial reserves of the race, and their spoils of war were enhanced by the titles of the King of Loots and the Strongest Lord. They obtained a total of more than 25,630,000 legendary tier mist cores, more than 104,213,000,000 epic tier mist cores, more than 25,519,000 extraordinary tier mist cores, more than 402,599,000 diamond tier mist cores, more than 801,165,000,000 white platinum tier mist cores, more than 1,110,160,000,000 yellow gold tier mist cores, more than 1,250,050,000,000 white silver tier mist cores, 2,580,000,000,000 green bronze tier mist cores, and 597,100,000,000 black iron tier mist cores, 5,100,030,000,000 skill books, 3,100,050,000,000 pieces of equipment, about 800 trillion units of basic materials, basic elemental gem resources, 50,025,000,000 units, more than 2,280,000,000 units of thunder element gems, 1,640,000 units of life elemental gems, 1,830,000,000 units of death elemental gems, more than 12 million units of time elemental gems, more than 15 million units of space elemental gems, 150 billion and 12 million origin crystals, 1,080,000,000 6099 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, 1 epic tier Lord Talent sphere, 10 epic tier Lord Talent crystal fragments, more than 5,190,000,000 units of divine crystals from low tier to high tier deity level, 6,400 true god tier divine crystals, more than 90 million low tier to high tier deity level divine artifacts, 216 true god tier divine artifacts. There were a total of more than 80 million divine spark fragments, god tier medicinal herbs, god tier ingredients, god tier ores, god tier blueprints, and other treasures, 1,060 master god tier herbs, god tier ingredients, god tier ores, god tier blueprints, and other treasures, a damaged pseudo-racial divine artifact, Shadow Canopy. In addition to these normal gains, there were also building blueprints, special treasures, Great Lunar Jade Book, True God-tier War Machinery, Shadow Puppet, Special Building Blueprint, Great Lunar Sacrificial Platform, War Machinery, Shadow Divine Boat Manufacturing Blueprint, High-tier Deity Advanced Grade Battle Formation, True Illusion Mirror, and other spoils of war that were unique to the race and civilization. Zhou couldn't help but nod in satisfaction after reading this part of the summary. As expected of the Shadow Clan, the gains from this war were almost 10 times the gains from conquering the Demon Flood Dragon race yesterday. In addition, the harvest of the Life Elemental Gems and Death Elemental Gems also surprised him. He originally had about 2.1 billion Life Elemental Gems and Death Elemental Gems. Now that he had a total of more than 3.47 trillion Life Elemental Gems and Death Elemental Gems, he had fulfilled all the requirements to upgrade his territory to the legendary level. However, he wasn't in a hurry to level up, nor did he immediately use the epic tier Lord Talent Sphere. Instead, he continued to look at the God Spirit list and the military strength list. He first looked at the list of God Spirits. After today's battle, because they had eliminated enough enemy soldiers and God Spirits, a total of 85 legendary tier advanced grade soldiers had advanced to low-tier deity level elementary grade God Spirits. Coupled with the 1,547 God Spirits obtained through the 10,000 Spirit Saint, the 216 God Spirits who had submitted to him after being captured, and the 1,700 God Spirits who had come to join the Blazing Sun Kingdom in the morning, the total number of God Spirits under he directly reached 5,947. The total number of God Spirits had already reached the number of ordinary God Spirits that Uriel had led when he first came to the High Continent. In addition, in terms of the number of true God tier, he originally had 5 true God tiers under him, excluding Carol Moali. Today, through the 10,000 Spirit Saint, he had insight defection up to 11 true gods of the people of foreign races. In addition, he had captured 2 true God tiers through war. Now, these 2 true God tiers had already submitted. In total, he now had a total of 18 true God tier subordinates, even excluding Yellow Emperor and other true God tiers, including the Yellow Emperor, Buddha Lord, Baihe and Patriarch Lu. He had a total of 24 true God tier subordinates. With my current strength, even if I fight Uriel's people of Foreign Race Alliance head-on, I'm confident that I can take him down without Uriel. Even with Uriel as a variable, I have a certain degree of confidence in winning. Zhou sighed inwardly. Thinking back, when they first heard that Uriel had led an army of people of foreign races to the supreme continent to deal with him, all of them felt that they could not resist this behemoth. He could only do everything he could to stall for time. The humans had no choice but to retreat to the primordial world because of Uriel's arrival. And now, after such a short period of time, he was already confident in defeating the other party. His development speed was indeed a little ridiculous. He thought silently. After dealing with Uriel, the human race might be able to walk out of the primordial world. Zhou thought, if he could take down Uriel, who was a tough nut to crack, those enemies of the people of foreign races who wanted to deal with he and the human race would probably realize the situation. Under the circumstances where the Master God tier did not appear, Zhou and his humans could be said to have no worries in the High Continent. Even the Divine Kingdom Lord factions on the High Continent could not deal with Zhou unless he took the initiative to provoke them. Therefore, when the time came, the humans could completely retreat from the primordial world and return to their previous lives. Zhou was actually looking forward to the scene of Uriel leading the people of foreign races to attack tomorrow. He stopped thinking and looked at the final list of troops. Today, through the 10,000 Spirit Saint, he had obtained the loyalty of 1,623,766,975 soldiers. Later, through persuasion, he had also turned the more than 31,612,000,000 captured soldiers of the people of foreign races into his own soldiers. As for the Lords of the Star Alliance, they had also insight defection more than 101,050,000,000 fog monster soldiers along the way. Even if 20% of the soldiers were given to the Blazing Sun Kingdom, Zhou would still be able to obtain more than 20.21 trillion soldiers. The soldiers under him had now reached 1,460,233,963,023 soldiers, excluding the soldiers of the Star Alliance. Including the 120 billion soldiers of the Star Alliance, he now had more than 1,580 billion soldiers under him. Among them, there were 326 billion, 15,429,879 black iron tier soldiers. There were 376 billion, 262,234,255 green bronze tier soldiers. There were 20,890,600,000 white silver tier soldiers. There were 240 billion, 69,067,860 yellow gold tier soldiers. There were 165 billion, 78,619,660 white platinum tier soldiers. Diamond tier soldiers, 55 billion, 60,209,120. There were 12,179,007,600 extraordinary tier soldiers. There were 6,517,007,506 epic tier soldiers. There were 87,384,959 legendary tier soldiers. As for the god spirits under him, after today's Shadow Clan war, their strength had also increased to varying degrees. Among them, Vicky, Baiyun, Wu Xian, Feng Luo, Suin, and Luosheng had all advanced to the high-tier deity-level elementary grade. Nazario and Extreme Dragon had advanced to the level of mid-tier deity-level advanced grade. Light Sacred Dragon, Ingersoll had been promoted to a low-tier deity-level advanced grade god spirit. Most importantly, Qi Shantian and Yuan Song had already sensed that they had reached the last step of advancing to the true god tier. Now, they had already entered the time world to cultivate in seclusion. If nothing went wrong, they would probably advance to the true god-tier god spirit tomorrow. Qi Shantian was originally a talented sword immortal, and Yuan Song was a member of the Shepherd's God race with a top-notch bloodline. Their potential is already astonishing. Coupled with the help of the Master God-level book of the God Spirit, they have finally reached the stage of becoming true gods. Zhou was filled with emotions and anticipation. After that, he chatted with Bai Yi and Wu Tu for more than an hour about the specific arrangements for tomorrow before asking the two of them to leave. After they left, Zhou took out the epic tier Lord Talent Sphere that he had obtained from the Shadow Clan's true god, Jakro. The Shadow Clan's patriarch, Aces, was able to hand over the position of the Shadow Clan's patriarch to Jakro before the battle. Other than the fact that they are brothers, I'm afraid it's also thanks to his extraordinary tier Lord Talent, Zhou thought. Then, he looked at the specific information of this Lord Talent. Treasure name, Lord Talent Sphere, Shadow Realm Gate, Treasure Grade. Epic tier Treasure Effect. After absorbing it, the Lord will have an epic tier Lord Talent, Shadow Realm Gate. Treasure Description. A Lord Talent Sphere from a Shadow Clan True God tier. After absorbing it, you can obtain an epic tier Lord Talent. Shadow Realm Gate? Zhou raised his eyebrows thoughtfully. Even though Zhou did not know the exact function of the door to the Shadow Realm, he knew what the Shadow Realm was. The Shadow Realm was actually the Shadow Realm that extraordinary tier professionals were familiar with. It was also known as the Shadow Realm. Because all things had shadows, the Shadow Realm and the myriad worlds were connected and coexisted. Some extraordinary individuals who were proficient in spatial jumps could use the world of shadows to teleport beyond distance. They called their spell Shadow Jump. If it was a more powerful plane traveler, they could even use the Shadow World to visit any world in the myriad worlds. Under normal circumstances, if the Shadow Realm had such a shocking effect, it could be said to be equivalent to the place that military strategists had to fight for. It would definitely be coveted by many powerful factions in reality and would want to capture it. In fact, that was indeed the case. In history, countless powerful factions in the real world had invaded the Shadow World. Even powerful races and civilizations like the original Spirit race, the Chaos Gods race, the Shepherd's God race, and the Myriad Spirit race had coveted the Shadow World and started a war. In the beginning, the local forces of the shadow world could be said to be retreating step by step, almost losing the territory they relied on to survive. However, on the eve of the shadow world's complete invasion, a will-level existence was suddenly born in the world of shadows. Even though this will-level existence was far weaker than powerful wills like the Abyss will, the will of the Heaven Realm, and the will of the immortal world, it was not something a Master God tier or even a Supreme God realm could provoke. If one angered the will of this shadow, even a top bloodline civilization would not be able to withstand the terrifying consequences. Hence, the various races retreated in fear of this will-level existence and signed a peace agreement with the various factions of the shadow world. From then on, all the races in the world were not allowed to invade the shadow world. They were not even allowed to enter. They were only allowed to allow individual life forms to perform spatial jumps and some trade activities through the shadow world. At the same time, they had to compensate the shadow world for the losses caused. From then on, the battle of the shadow world came to an end. Because this was a very humiliating matter for the various races, and because they did not dare to provoke the will of the shadow, all the races in the world had completely sealed off the news of this war. As a result, the shadow world had never been famous until today. Many god spirits even treated the shadow world as an ordinary shadow plane and only used it as an auxiliary means to carry out shadow jumps. If not for the fact that Zhou had the secret bloodlines of many races in his mind, he wouldn't have known about this. It's actually a lord talent related to the shadow realm. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. Then, he stopped thinking and chose to absorb the epic tier Lord Talent Sphere. The next second, the epic tier Lord Talent Sphere immediately turned into countless purple light spots and surged into his glabella. Zhou closed his eyes. A moment later, he reopened his eyes again after some time. Then, he immediately opened his Lord's personal information. A new update appeared in his Lord Talent column. A new word appeared. Shadow Realm Gate. Epic tier. The 35th Lord Talent. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Then, he opened the details of this talent. Lord Talent, Shadow Realm Gate, Epic tier, Shadow Realm Gate, Specific Talent Effect 1. You can open a door to the Shadow Realm that belongs to your Lord's faction and enter the Shadow Realm. You and the members of your territory have legal status and have the right to live, travel, trade, and live normally in the Shadow World. Specific Talent Effect 2. In the Shadow World, you have an initial territory belonging to your Black Iron Tier Elementary grade. You can spend resources to upgrade this territory and expand your territory in the Shadow World. At the same time, in the Shadow World, you are protected by the will of the Shadow World. Your Lord faction will have a basic, friendly, diplomatic relationship with any faction in the Shadow World. Under this level of friendly and higher diplomatic relations, you can trade freely with any force in the film world. When your diplomatic relations with other forces fall below friendly level, the trade effect will automatically disappear until at least friendly level diplomatic relations are restored. Specific Talent Effect 3. You and your territorial faction can pay a certain price to use a portion of the Shadow World's warp gate to undergo another world warp and head to another world. As the level of your territory in the Shadow World increases, you will unlock the authority of more worlds' warp gates and head to more worlds. Specific Talent Effect 4. You are protected by the will of Shadow and have the nomological talent of the Law of Shadow, True God Tier. He actually gave me the authority to warp through the world of shadows? Zhou's gaze landed on Talent Effect 4. His eyes lit up. With the authority of the Shadow World's warp gate, he wouldn't have to take long-distance transportation when heading to other worlds. He could directly warp through the Shadow World. It was time-saving and convenient. Furthermore, if the Supreme Will activates the Lord activity of the myriad worlds in the future, I can go directly to the other world through the Shadow Realm. This way, I can avoid being ambushed by the experts of the people of foreign races on the way. My safety can be said to have greatly increased, be it for me or my soldiers. Furthermore, if I want to conquer the myriad worlds in the future, this warp gate of the Shadow World is the best shortcut for me to conquer the myriad worlds. Tisk. Those top-tier bloodline races paid countless prices and sacrificed countless experts, but they were still unable to take down the Shadow Realm and use its convenience. In the end, They could only sign a compensation agreement and escape dejectedly. And I didn't do anything. I only relied on my Lord Talent to obtain the authority that those top bloodline races dream of. Jojo was satisfied. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this Lord Talent was top-notch, as expected of an epic-tier Lord Talent. Let's go take a look at the film world. With a thought, Jojo activated the door to the Shadow Realm. The next second, wisps of shadow aura flew out from his feet and gradually condensed into a tall and majestic ancient black door that was about 100,000 meters tall and 10,000 meters wide. The huge door was wide open. Jojo did not hesitate and walked in. In the Shadow Realm, a shadow sun and a shadow moon hung high in the dark sky, emitting a faint black light. On the ground, shadow mountains, rivers, cities, and shadow creatures could be seen everywhere. They looked shadowy. One second they were still there, and the next they might disappear. In this shadow, a small black territory was entrenched. Jojo was standing there, curiously browsing the two buildings in front of him. One of the buildings was the Lord's wooden house, and the other was the Gate of Summoning. Good God! Another Gate of Summoning. If it was when I first arrived in the High Continent, this Lord Talent could allow a new Lord to summon twice as many subjects every day. But it's useless to me now. Jojo shook his head. Any 10,000 spirit saint could incite an insight defection that far exceeded the subjects summoned by the Gate of Summoning. Did he still need another Gate of Summoning? However, it was not bad to be a safe base. In the future, if he failed to fight for the Lord of all races, this might be a place for he to make a comeback. He looked elsewhere and suddenly focused his gaze. A black door stood not far to the east of the Gate of Summoning. Another door? Jojo raised his eyebrows. Jojo walked to the black door. He looked at it and a text notification appeared. Building name, Warp Gate, construction level. Black Iron Tier elementary grade, construction effect. Spend 100 black Iron Tier mist cores to open this warp gate. You can head to the Supreme Great Cosmos, High Continent, Small World, Herod World. Building hint. Upgrade the level of the territory of the Shadow World and then upgrade the warp gate itself. You can unlock more and higher level warp coordinates of the warp gate and head to more alternate worlds. Construction upgrade. 10 Shadow Realm Black Iron Tier territory tokens, 1,000 wood units, 1,000 sand units, 1,000 metal units, 1,000 stone units, 1,000 Black Iron Tier mist core, 1 shadow gem. So this is the warp gate. Jojo nodded. He looked at the two teleportable worlds. There was naturally no need to mention the high continent of the Supreme Great Cosmos. As for the second Herod world, he was very curious. 100 Black Iron Tier mist cores is not expensive. Jojo did not hesitate and threw 100 Black Iron Tier mist cores into the black door. The next second, a black shadow vortex gradually appeared in this black warp gate. Jojo walked forward and reached out to touch it. Apart from feeling wisps of shadow aura swimming on his fingertips, his mind was also sent a message by the warp gate. This warp gate could lead him to the High Continent and the Herod world. He needed to choose one of the two before he could enter. Jojo naturally chose the world of Herod. Then he stepped into it and disappeared. The cross-border teleportation of the warp gate was not a spatial teleportation, but a magical teleportation of the law of shadow. Jojo felt as if his divine body had transformed into a flowing shadow aura. Through some magical channel, he arrived in a new world in the blink of an eye. Then, the shadow aura returned to its normal divine body state. After Jojo arrived in the new world, he did not immediately check what the world was like. Instead, he first checked his divine body and soul. The method of directly turning himself into shadow energy had frightened him a little. He felt a little uneasy if he didn't check. Thankfully, after he finished checking, he did not find any problems with his divine body. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. Then, he looked at his surroundings with relief. This was a verdant mountain filled with greenery. The air was filled with elemental particles that were not dense. Zhou could sense that the energy level of this world was very ordinary. It was probably only to the extent of nurturing legendary tier experts. It would be very difficult to continue nurturing stronger experts. If this world wanted to nurture a god spirit level expert, it could only be created by legendary tier experts who used their extraordinary comprehension to break through the world's restrictions and receive the energy of the outside world. The other option was to devour the source of this small world and become a world god. Only then could one become a god spirit. However, such a world god would either succeed or fail. Unless one had great opportunities and good fortune in the future, it was basically very difficult to reach a realm above the god spirit realm. In summary, the difficulty of becoming a god in the Herod world was more than 10 or 100 times higher than becoming a god spirit on the high continent. Zhou was not surprised. This was the upper limit of the small world. At this moment, he even felt that as long as he used the chaos holy power in his body slightly, he could destroy this small world. Even if he only used legendary tier power, he had to be careful. A fragile world. But it's not without its merits. Zhou's divine sense spread out without limit. In the blink of an eye, it covered the entire world. Soon, he had more or less figured out the details of this world. This world came from a god named Herod. The other party was a magic god spirit who had achieved success with water magic and was still alive to this day. He had even unified faith in this world, making this world a world of faith that provided Herod with an endless stream of faith. The greatest value of this world to Zhou was, this place contained a complete and comprehensive magic civilization extraordinary tier system. In the future, if he wanted to nurture mages, he could use this place to nurture them. As for whether Herod would object, would he dare to object? It was just a mid-tier deity-level elementary grade god spirit. Speaking of which, this is the second time I've come to an unfamiliar alternate world since I returned from the Insect Tribe universe. Insect Tribe universe. That should be a boundless universe-level universe. In the future, I might be able to see that Insect Lord again with the help of the Shadow Realm. Zhou thought to himself. To the current him, the Insect Lord and the Dragon God Lord were naturally no longer in his mind. The reason why he suddenly had the idea of meeting the Insect Lord was just a whim. It would be best if he could meet that old friend, but it didn't matter if he couldn't. At this moment, a blue water light descended from the sky and landed in front of him. It transformed into a water elemental creature that emitted the aura of a mid-tier deity level. It was the god of this world, Herod, god of streams and water elemental magic. Herod greets your excellency, common people's regal, Herod said respectfully. He lamented inwardly, never expecting this. He was a water element god who was slacking off. One day, he would actually be able to see this common people's regal who was already famous in the myriad worlds in front of him. Wasn't this common people's regal still in the high continent? Why did he suddenly come to his small world? In order to avoid the disputes between the lords of the myriad races on the high continent, he had specially brought his world, which was hundreds of millions of light years away, to this remote place of the myriad worlds. He did not want other god spirits to know of his existence and be forced to be involved in the chaos of the myriad races. He never expected that he would not provoke this calamity of all races, but a calamity would descend from the sky. Herod even wondered if he had accidentally offended the master god tier of misfortune. Otherwise, how could he be so unlucky? You know me? Zhou was not surprised by the other party's arrival. He just did not expect the other party to see through him at a glance. Your Excellency's reputation has long spread throughout the myriad worlds. Even though my little realm is in the Eastern God realm, in the remote place of the myriad worlds, I've heard of your Excellency's reputation and seen your portrait. Herod said obsequiously. You don't have to be nervous. Zhou could see the nervousness in his heart. He waved his hand and said, this king only happens to have a spatial passageway that leads to your world. However, the development of your magical civilization here is indeed not bad. In the future, this king wants to send some subjects from the country to your place to further their studies. Are you willing? Yes, yes, Herod complained in his heart, but he maintained a smile on his face. Don't worry. I'm not occupying your place for nothing. I'll rent this place to you. I'll give you one mid-tier deity-level elementary grade divine crystal a year. I'll rent it for 100 years first. After Zhou finished speaking, he casually threw 100 mid-tier deity-level elementary grade divine crystals to the other party. This bit of divine crystals was naturally nothing to him. The divine crystals he had harvested today amounted to more than 5 billion. These 100 mid-tier deity-level divine crystals were like a drop in the ocean to him. In fact, with his current power, even if he forcefully occupied this place, Herod wouldn't dare to say anything against it. However, as the saying went, one shouldn't hit a smiling person. If the other party were to be rude, he would just wave his hand and attack this place. He wouldn't feel any burden at all. However, the other party's attitude was so humble. Even if Zhou wanted to do something violent, he felt a little embarrassed. So be it. However, Herod's eyes suddenly widened as he looked at the 100 mid-tier deity-level elementary grade divine crystals in front of him. Your Majesty, the divine crystals you gave me are too much. Herod thought for a moment and suddenly gritted his teeth. Then, he knelt in the void and said, How about this, Your Majesty? You don't have to give me so many divine crystals. I'm willing to hand over my world that has been operating for tens of thousands of years to Your Majesty. Please give me a chance to submit to you and let me serve Your Majesty. Zhou looked at him in surprise before smiling. Can you bear to do that? I see that you've managed the world here very well. You must have put in a lot of effort here, right? It was more than a considerable amount of effort. I spent most of my life in this world. Okay? Herod's heart bled, but he had no choice. This common people's regal was said to be able to kill true god-tiers as if he was slaughtering pigs and dogs after all. If he wanted to kill him, he could probably do it with a thought. Herod did not want to gamble on the other party's kindness. So he simply cut off his tail to survive and gave the world he had painstakingly built to the other party, hoping to exchange for a trace of the other party's kindness. This way, he might be able to survive from the hands of His Excellency. Moreover, it was said that the god spirits under the other party's command received good treatment. It was even said that the god spirits who followed he could have a full set of divine artifacts on them. Even though Herod didn't believe in such ridiculous things at all, as long as he could survive in the end, he wouldn't ask for more benefits. Hence, he firmly said, Your Majesty is right, but I'm still willing to follow Your Majesty. Compared to the glorious future of following Your Majesty, a world of faith that I've spent tens of thousands of years in is nothing. Then, he contributed a ball of water that emitted an azure light. This is the source of this world. As long as the divine sense recognizes you as its master, this world of faith will belong to you, Your Majesty. Please accept it, he said firmly. Zhou was speechless. He picked up the world origin and played with it for a while before recognizing it as his master. Then, he immediately felt that this world of faith already belonged to him. He could be comparable to a creation god in this world. Could be said that he was omnipotent. Even the life forms in the resurrection world could be easily resurrected. He only needed to consume a little of the origin power of this world. Even the previous owner of this world, Herod, could be expelled from this world with a thought. From today onwards, you are one of the worshipped god spirits of this king's blazing sun kingdom. Take this as a welcome gift, Zhou suddenly said and threw a spatial ring to the other party. Herod hurriedly took it and subconsciously probed it with his divine sense. Then he was immediately shocked. There were a total of 6 mid-tier deity-level intermediate-grade water attribute divine artifacts placed in it, exuding the awe-inspiring might of divine artifacts. Herod could not help but open his mouth wide. Then he looked up at Zhou. This? Your Majesty, you're giving them all to me? Your Majesty, are you joking? Herod could not believe it. So is the legend true? Were all the god spirits under the command of Your Excellency, the common people's regal, equipped with divine artifacts? It's true. Zhou patted his shoulder meaningfully and said with a smile. Herod was shocked, and the spatial ring in his hand almost fell. How did His Majesty know what he was thinking? Could it be that His Majesty still had the ability to see through minds? But I'm a real God spirit, and a mid-tier deity-level God spirit at that. How terrifying was His Majesty's strength to be able to see through the thoughts of a mid-tier deity-level God spirit. At this moment, even though he was holding 6 mid-tier deity-level divine artifacts that had greatly increased his strength, Herod was still filled with reverence for Zhou. At this moment, Zhou spoke again. Your world belongs to this king now. The object of belief here should also change to believe in this king as soon as possible. You will be in charge of this matter. Also, your world needs a protector, so you can stay here as a protector for the time being. With the divine relic you have now, even ordinary high-tier deity-level experts are probably not your match. If a true god tier descends, I will leave a few life-saving trump cards for you before I leave so that you have a chance to ask the kingdom for help. The true god tier on our side will rush over as soon as possible. I won't stay any longer. In the future, a warp gate will be set up here. If you have anything to do, you can use the warp gate's coordinates to head to the location of my blazing sun kingdom. After Zhou finished speaking, he told the other party about the film world. In any case, the other party was already one of them. It was fine to tell the other party. He just had to remind the other party not to leak this news. So His Majesty came to His Majesty's universe through the Shadow Realm. His Majesty is indeed resourceful. His Majesty actually did something that even the top races and civilizations couldn't do easily. Don't worry, Your Majesty. I won't leak this news, Herod exclaimed, followed by endless flattery. Zhou nodded and did not say anything else. With a thought, he opened another warp gate and permanently solidified it here. The price was 1 diamond tier mist core a day. This was naturally nothing to Zhou. But even so, Zhou did not choose to bear it. Instead, he let Herod be in charge of the expenses. It was just 1 diamond tier mist core a day. As a mid-tier deity-level god spirit, Herod naturally did not care at all and immediately agreed. Then, Zhou stepped into the warp gate and disappeared in front of Herod. Herod looked at Zhou's disappearing back, and the confusion in his eyes was gradually replaced by excitement. He looked at the 6 water-type heavenly artifacts in his spatial ring and excitedly said, I'm so lucky. Even if I lie down, I can still appear out of thin air and hug His Majesty's thigh. Moreover, I don't have to go to the Supreme Continent and participate in the conflict of the myriad races to risk my life. I must have been protected by a lucky master god tier. After Zhou returned to the Shadow World's territory, he didn't stop. Instead, he returned to the Blazing Sun Kingdom in the real universe and called the current patriarch of the Shadow Clan, Tarokal, over. Greetings, Your Majesty, Tarokal said in high spirits. Only those who joined the Blazing Sun Kingdom would know what shocking benefits there were after joining it. His current expression perfectly illustrated this point. How's the Shadow Clan's current situation? Zhou asked. The members of the Shadow Clan have all submitted to His Majesty. All the clansmen are loyal to His Majesty. Tarokal thought that His Majesty was still suspicious of his clansmen. So his heart skipped a beat when he heard that. Then he hurriedly said. Zhou thought to himself, he wasn't asking about that. With the Lord talent of the peaceful times, he naturally believed that all the Shadow Tribe members were extremely loyal to him. Now that the Shadow Clan has lost the Shadow Canopy, the situation is probably not good, right? Zhou asked about his true motive. Actually, it's not that bad. Tarokal deliberated over his words. Even though our Shadow Clan's strength will decrease a little without the Shadow Canopy, and our condition during the day will be a little dispirited, it's not impossible for us to survive. Moreover, at night, our Shadow Clan will recover about 80% of its previous strength. There won't be a problem of our strength decreasing greatly. Moreover, the stronger the Shadow Clan, the less afraid they are of the influence of the disappearance of the Shadow Canopy. At most, they will be a little uncomfortable. There's still some impact. Jojo nodded and pondered for a moment. Do you know about the Shadow Realm? I know a little. Tarokal nodded before saying with a yearning expression. It's said that the Shadow Realm is the shadow of the myriad worlds. Its existence is connected to the myriad worlds, and it's said that there are shadows of the true environment of the myriad worlds inside. However, these shadows don't seem to be fixed. 1 second ago, a certain shadow spot in the shadow world might still be a mountain range, but in the next second, it might become the shadow of a river. The Shadow Realm is also the best auxiliary method for Shadow Leap. Some dimensional travelers with connections in the Shadow Realm are said to be able to travel to other worlds through the Shadow Realm. It's really magical. The 8th, 12th, and 19th patriarchs of our Shadow Clan have always felt that the Shadow World is the best place for our Shadow Clan to live. Even the environment on the Great Lunar Star might not be as habitable as the Shadow World. However, the Shadow Realm is extremely mysterious. Several generations of patriarchs have been thinking of ways to build a habitat in the Shadow Realm. But in the end, they all returned empty-handed. I don't know why, but those few Shadow patriarchs are also very secretive about this. Towards the end, Tarokal also looked puzzled. Jojo nodded. It seemed that this guy knew a little about the Shadow World, but he didn't know much. Most of it was superficial. This king has a territory in the Shadow World. Jojo said, that place is very suitable for your Shadow Clan to survive, so I'm prepared to hand it over to the Shadow Clan members under your command to manage. Even though that territory is only an initial Black Iron Tier elementary grade territory, it has endless potential. As Jojo spoke, he told the other party about the door to the Shadow Realm, including the secret history of the Shadow Realm. Tarokal immediately looked excited and shocked when he heard that. The Shadow Clan actually has such a history. They actually have a will-level existence protecting the Shadow World and even made countless top races and civilizations suffer. They even sealed off their speech. No wonder nothing related to exploration has been spread in a magical place like the Shadow Realm. It turns out that the will of the Shadow Realm doesn't allow large numbers of life forms from the outside world to enter. But His Majesty actually has an initial territory in the Shadow World, and also has a special building like the Warp Gate that is priceless. At this moment, Tarakal's reverence for Jojo rose to another level. His faith was almost at the Holy Spirit tier believer level. Jojo didn't mind and said, in addition to the management of the Shadow Clan, I will also send some humans to guide the management of this world's territory. In addition, after you take over the territory of the Shadow World, try your best to upgrade this territory as soon as possible. While expanding the territory, try your best to unlock more world transition rights so that we can attack the myriad worlds in the future. In the future, when we enter the offensive of the myriad worlds, the Shadow Race's Warp Gate will be the best landing point for our army. I understand. Tarokal agreed with a solemn expression. He immediately understood the heavy responsibility on his shoulders. He felt both responsible and pleasantly surprised. His Majesty had entrusted him with such an important task. Didn't that mean that His Majesty valued him greatly? Faced with His Majesty's importance, Tarokal, who was already infinitely close to the Holy Spirit, felt that this was a supreme honor for him. He knelt on one knee and said firmly, I will definitely create the best landing point for His Majesty to conquer the myriad worlds in the future. Jojo nodded. Then he flipped his right hand, and a shadow curtain appeared in his palm. It was the shadow canopy that had been shattered by him and his clone during the day. The moment the shadow curtain appeared, Tarakal's gaze couldn't help but land on this pseudo-racial divine artifact of the Shadow Race. Tarokal was in a daze looking at his damaged appearance. Even though this pseudo-racial divine artifact was only created after birth, it had protected the Shadow Clan for countless years. Every member of the Shadow Clan had a strong attachment to this pseudo-racial divine artifact. But now it was already so damaged. This was the consequence of being enemies with His Majesty. Tarokal lowered his head, his heart as calm as an ancient well. Tartkal, this king remembers that your Shadow Clan has the civilization heritage to create and repair this shadow canopy. If this king gives you enough repair materials, how long will it take for you to repair this shadow canopy? Zhou asked. Upon hearing that, Tarokal suddenly raised his head and looked at Zhou in surprise. Your Majesty, you want to repair our race's divine artifact? Zhou nodded. Your shadow clan is still living on the high continent and has yet to completely move into the shadow world. This shadow canopy is still very important to you now. Furthermore, even if all of you move into the shadow world in the future, you don't have to worry about the influence of sunlight on you. I also feel that this pseudo-racial divine artifact will have a very positive impact on your shadow clan. I naturally have to consider the situation for you since the shadow clan are my subjects. If this shadow canopy can be repaired, it's naturally better to repair it. Thank you, Your Majesty. Your Majesty, please let me take a look at the situation in the shadow canopy. Tarokal said extremely excitedly. With a thought from Zhou, the shadow canopy teleported in front of Tarokal. Tarokal held the shadow canopy with both hands and observed it for a while. Then, he thought for a while before saying cautiously, If Your Majesty gives me enough repair materials, with the skills of our shadow clan's craftsmen, it should only take 100 years to repair this shadow canopy. Zhou was speechless. 100 years. Then did he still need this shadow canopy? Is there no faster way? Zhou asked. Your Majesty. Tarokal smiled bitterly. Our shadow clan's craftsmen are at most legendary tier advanced grade craftsmen. Facing the repair work of the shadow canopy, 100 years is already my shortest estimate. If our shadow clan can give birth to a god spirit level master of racial divine artifact restoration, we should be able to shorten this time to about 10 years. However, our shadow clan doesn't have the civilization inheritance of a master of racial divine artifact restoration at all. It's impossible to give birth to such an existence. Zhou was deep in thought. After a long while, he said, I understand. You can leave first. I'll think of another way to repair this race divine artifact. I'm incompetent. I've disappointed Your Majesty. Tarokal immediately said in fear. Not your fault. Zhou waved his hand and got Tarokal to leave. When Tarokal saw this, he could only leave Blazing Sun Palace with a bitter smile, leaving Zhou alone to quietly look at the damaged shadow canopy in his hand. He thought for a moment and sent someone to call Jik and Seely Orofa over. The young man and young woman quickly walked over. Greetings, Your Majesty, the two of them said respectfully and led the way. Jik, Seely. Last time, I asked you if I could invite your god of sun and forging, Orofa, to join my Blazing Sun Empire and work for me. How are things going now? Zhou asked. He was still looking forward to the arrival of the god of forging. He lacked a heavenly god who could forge and repair divine artifacts to join his camp. Otherwise, how would he know how to use the god-tier materials in his hands? Once he obtains a divine artifact forger under him, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that his strength would increase by a good margin. Jik and Seely looked at each other as soon as Zhou said that. Then Seely said generously, Your Majesty, Jik and I have tried our best to persuade my grandfather to come to His Majesty's Blazing Sun Kingdom and pledge loyalty to His Majesty. But my grandfather said that firstly, he is now working for Your Excellency Regal Great Solar, so it's not easy to change sides. Secondly, my grandfather also said that Regal Great Solar and Regal Great Lunar have clearly ordered his subjects not to allow any of their subjects to join the current Lord of All Races contest. So even my grandfather couldn't leave the sun for long enough to remain in His Majesty's kingdom and serve His Majesty. Perhaps in the future, when the Lord of All Races tournament enters the middle and late stages, my grandfather, they might be able to leave the Sun Star and join His Majesty's Lord's camp to serve His Majesty. Zhou nodded thoughtfully. It seemed that, for some reason, the existences of Regal Great Solar and Regal Great Lunar did not want to participate in the Lord War for the time being. Was it because it was too early? He speculated inwardly. After thinking for a while, he didn't think too much about it since he hadn't come up with an answer. He changed the topic and asked, It's also a problem that Your Excellency Orofa can't come to this king's country to serve. Since he can't leave the Sun Star for a long time, can he accept some business? For example, restoring true God-tier divine artifacts or pseudo-race divine artifacts. This way, he doesn't have to leave the Sun Star for too long. He can take the damaged true God-tier divine artifacts or pseudo-race divine artifacts from me and bring them back for repair. After the repairs are completed, he can send someone to send them back. In terms of remuneration, I won't let Your Excellency Orofa suffer a loss. That's fine. Seely's eyes lit up and she nodded. When my grandfather was working for Your Excellency Regal Great Solar, he often took on private jobs. There shouldn't be a problem with His Majesty's invitation. Jick, who was beside him, also nodded. All right. Zhou nodded and said with a smile, in that case, contact Your Excellency Orofa first. Tell him that I have a damaged true God-tier divine artifacts that I wish to ask he to repair. Apart from the pseudo-racial divine artifacts, I also have a large number of slightly worn-out divine artifacts. If he is willing to repair them, I would also like to ask he for help. As for the price of repairs, I definitely won't let Your Excellency Orofa suffer a loss. Yes, Your Majesty. After Junior Brother and I return, we'll immediately contact my grandfather. Seely's eyes lit up and she nodded vigorously. Zhou nodded. Then the two of them left. He didn't stop after that. He flew out of the Divine Kingdom world and arrived above the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Accompanied by 8,000 trillion units of basic materials, 50,000 legendary tier mist cores, 2 billion origin crystals, 20 billion basic elemental gems, 6 billion high-level elemental gems, and 3 legendary tier territory tokens, they disappeared. He looked down at the Blazing Sun Kingdom below. With a thought, he chose to upgrade his territory. Accompanied by 8,000 trillion units of basic materials, 50,000 legendary tier mist cores, 2 billion origin crystals, 20 billion basic elemental gems, 6 billion high-level elemental gems, and 3 legendary tier territory tokens, they disappeared. A text notification appeared. Congratulations! Your legendary tier elementary grade blessed land has successfully advanced to a legendary tier intermediate grade blessed land. Your territory has been successfully upgraded to a legendary tier elementary grade territory. Your legendary tier elementary grade 9 refinement. Divine Transformation Formation has been upgraded to the legendary tier 9 refinement Divine Transformation Formation. Durability of territory stone tablet increased to 500 billion/500 billion. Your territory has expanded to 20 million kilometers x 20 million kilometers x 100,000 kilometers. All fog monsters within the territory of the new territory have been expelled. Scarlet fog will not appear in any of your territories. You have received an upgrade reward. Basic building blueprint treasure chest. Yellow gold tier intermediate grade. Lord Talent notification. Your Scarlet Broodmother can be upgraded. Lord Talent hint. Your mysterious caravan faction has increased. Lord Talent hint. The strength of the clergy in your Goddess of Life's shelter has increased. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. It had finally been upgraded to a legendary territory. Then, he looked at the material requirements for the territory to be upgraded to legendary tier advanced grade. Construction upgrade: 1,000 trillion units of wood, 1,000 trillion units of fine sand, 1,000 trillion units of metal, 1,000 trillion units of stone, 10,000 legendary tier mist core, 1 billion origin crystals, 10 billion units of basic elemental gems, 1 billion units of thunder element gems, 1 billion units of life elemental gems, 1 billion units of death elemental gems, 1 legendary tier city, 100 legendary tier lifestyle professionals, 1,000 legendary tier military professionals, 100 race heroes, 1 legendary tier territory order. Zhou took a closer look and shook his head regretfully. Among these upgrade resources, the vast majority had already met the advancement requirements. However, the life elemental gems and death elemental gems were still lacking. He looked at his king's treasure box. He saw that there were more than 500 million life elemental gems and more than 1 billion death elemental gems in his king's treasure box. He still needed more than 4.4 billion life elemental gems and more than 3.9 billion death elemental gems to gather the requirements to upgrade to the legendary tier advanced grade. 2 or 3 more Shadow Clan level battles should be able to gather the requirements to upgrade the territory. Zhou calculated in his heart and realized that it was not too difficult. Then he stopped thinking and went straight to the Gate of Summoning. He spent 40 trillion units of basic materials and 2,000 legendary tier mist cores to upgrade the Gate of Summoning to the legendary level. A text notification appeared. Congratulations, your Gate of Summoning has been successfully upgraded to a legendary tier elementary grade building. You can summon 20,000 subjects every day. You will summon 1,009 professionals every day. Prompt. Under the influence of the unique title of the race, Glory of the Pioneer 8. You can summon 139,500 subjects every day. You will summon 1,009 professionals every day. After reading it, Zhou nodded slightly. The basic number of subjects summoned by the Gate of Summoning was 15,500. After adding 20,000, it was 35,500. After being buffed by the Glory of the Pioneer 8, it directly increased by 8 times. Becoming 284,000 people. It's okay. Zhou did not care about this improvement and directly looked at the upgrade requirements. Construction upgrade, 20 trillion units of wood, 20 trillion units of fine sand, 20 trillion units of metal, 20 trillion units of stone, 5,000 pieces of legendary tier mist core. Territory level upgraded to legendary tier advanced grade. After memorizing it, Zhou returned to the Divine Kingdom and called Baiyun and Carol Moeli over. Zhou took out 1 billion green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments before they came. Today, his gains from the green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragment alone were enough to upgrade a legendary tier Lord Talent to the mythical tier unique Lord Talent. Naturally, he would not forget such a thing. So, he planned to upgrade it immediately and give it a try. Zhou took out 1 billion green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments and fused them into a mythical tier 1 and only Lord Talent origin divine crystals without another word. Then, he looked at his many Lord Talents. After looking at it for a long time, his gaze finally landed on one of the inconspicuous extraordinary tier Lord Talents. It was the Lord Talent, Embrace of the Conqueror. Lord Talent, Embrace of the Conqueror extraordinary tier. Embrace of the Conqueror. 1. Every time a lord conquers a territory, he can attract a different number of classless subjects to join his territory. 2. Every time a lord conquered a regional territory, he could attract a different number of professional subjects to join his territory. 3. Every time a lord conquered a kingdom, he could obtain the loyalty of 3 heroes with the extraordinary tier hero fate level slot, 2 heroes with the epic tier hero fate level slot, and 1 hero with the legendary tier hero fate level slot. 4. Every time a lord conquered an empire, he could obtain the loyalty of 3 heroes with the low tier deity level and 1 hero with the mid-tier deity level hero's fate level. 5. Every time a lord conquers a divine kingdom, he can obtain the loyalty of 3 heroes with the true god tier hero fate level. This Lord Talent can be upgraded. Zhou touched his chin. In fact, he didn't lack heroes under him. However, who would complain about having too many heroes? Moreover, this was clearly a growth-type Lord Talent. The more territories and countries he conquered, the more heroes he could obtain. In addition, he was currently in a period of rapid expansion. Every day, he would conquer one race after another. Just the heroes he could obtain now could reach nearly 1,000 every day. If he upgraded it to the mythical tier unique Lord Talent, the number of heroes he obtained every day would be extremely shocking. The earlier I improve, the greater my gains. The later I level up, the smaller the gains. This is it. Without any hesitation, Zhou took out 10 epic tier Lord Talent crystal fragments and fused them into an epic tier Lord Talent origin divine crystals. Then, he raised this talent to the epic tier stage. Lord Talent, Embrace of the Conqueror, epic tier. Embrace of the Conqueror. 1. Every time a lord conquers a territory, he can attract a different number of classless subjects to join his territory. 2. Every time a lord conquered a regional territory, he could attract a different number of professional subjects to join his territory. 3. Every time a lord conquered a kingdom, he could obtain the loyalty of 10 heroes with the extraordinary tier hero fate level, 5 heroes with the epic tier hero fate level, 3 heroes with the legendary tier hero fate level, and 1 hero with the low tier deity level hero fate level. 4. Every time a lord conquered an empire, he could obtain the loyalty of 5 heroes with the low tier deity level, 3 heroes with the mid tier deity level, and 1 hero with the high level god tier fate level. 5. Every time a lord conquers a divine kingdom, he can obtain the loyalty of 5 heroes with the true god tier hero fate level, and 1 true god elementary grade god spirit. Zhou's eyes lit up. Was there such a huge improvement after advancing to the epic tier realm? Especially after conquering a divine kingdom, in addition to the loyalty of 5 heroes with the fate level of true god tier heroes, there was actually a true god who joined them. Finally, it wasn't just for heroes. He was looking forward to it. Then, he took out the only 10 legendary tier Lord Talent crystal fragments and fused them into a legendary tier Lord Talent Origin Divine crystals, raising this talent to the legendary tier level again. Lord Talent, Embrace of the Conqueror, legendary tier. Embrace of the Conqueror, 1. Every time a lord conquers a territory, he can attract a different number of classless subjects to join his territory. 2. Every time a lord conquered a regional territory, he could attract a different number of professional subjects to join his territory. 3. Every time a lord conquered a kingdom, he could obtain the loyalty of 20% of the subjects in the kingdom. Furthermore, he would attract 10 extraordinary tier life forms with the extraordinary tier hero fate level, 5 epic tier life forms with the epic tier hero fate level, 3 legendary tier life forms with the legendary tier hero fate level, and 1 low tier god spirit with the low tier deity level hero fate level to follow him. 4. Every time a lord conquered an empire, he could obtain the loyalty of 20% of the subjects in the empire. Moreover, he would attract 10 low tier god spirits with the low tier deity level hero fate level, 5 mid tier deity level god spirits with the mid tier deity level hero fate level, and 3 heroes with the high level god tier fate level to follow him. 5. Every time a lord conquers a divine kingdom, he can obtain the loyalty of 20% of the subjects in the divine kingdom. Moreover, he will attract 5 true god elementary grade god spirits with the true god tier hero fate level to follow him. Zhou's eyes lit up. The legendary tier Embrace of the Conqueror could actually directly obtain the loyalty of 20% of the subjects in the conquered territory. Moreover, the heroes they attracted were no longer people with potential, but powerhouses who had reached the limit of their potential. When conquering a divine kingdom, it could directly attract 5 true god tiers to follow it. One of the requirements for establishing an elementary divine kingdom was to have 3 true god tier worshippers. After conquering a divine kingdom, he could actually obtain the support of 5 true god tiers. This did not include the true gods who had conquered the country. Oh my god! The more Zhou read, the more shocked he became. As the grade of this Lord Talent increased, the effect became more and more ridiculous. Furthermore, it was a perfect match for his 10,000 Spirit Saint Lord Talent. He had used the 10,000 Spirit Saint before the war. After winning the war, the Embrace of the Conqueror would be effective. He didn't even need to use the Lord Talent of the Peaceful Times to take in at least 70% of the subjects in the conquered places. This is only the legendary tier Lord Talent. If I advance to the mythical tier unique level. At this thought, Zhou took the mythical tier 1 Lord Talent Origin Divine Crystals and upgraded Embrace of the Conqueror to the mythical tier 1. Lord Talent, Supreme Conquest, mythical tier, unique, Supreme Conquest, 1. Every time a lord conquers a territory, all the subjects in that territory will automatically pledge their loyalty to you. After that, you will generate a certain amount of prestige in the nearby territory. You can attract the subjects of the nearby domain, including but not limited to professionals, heroes, god spirits, and so on, giving them a chance to affiliate your territory. 2. Every time a lord vanquishes a territory, all the subjects in the domain will automatically pledge their faithfulness to you. After that, you will generate a certain amount of prestige in the nearby territory. You can draw the people of the nearby domain, including but not limited to professionals, heroes, god spirits, and so on, giving them a chance to affiliate your territory. 3. Every time the Lord conquers a kingdom, all the subjects in the territory of the kingdom will automatically pledge their loyalty to you. After that, you will generate a certain amount of prestige in the nearby territory. You can attract the subjects of the nearby territory, including but not limited to professionals, heroes, god spirits, and so on, giving them a chance to join your territory. In addition, you will also attract 20 epic tier life forms with the epic tier hero fate level from the outside world, 10 legendary tier life forms with the legendary tier hero fate level, 3 low tier deity level life forms with the low tier hero fate level, 2 mid-tier deity level god spirits with the mid-tier deity level hero fate level, and 1 high-level god spirit with the high-level god tier fate level to pledge loyalty to you. 4. Every time a lord conquers an empire, all the subjects in the empire's territory will automatically pledge their loyalty to you. After that, you will generate a certain amount of prestige in the nearby territory. You can attract the subjects of the nearby territory, including but not limited to professionals, heroes, god spirits, and so on, giving them a chance to join your territory. In addition, you will also attract 50 legendary tier life forms with the legendary tier hero fate level, 20 low tier deity level life forms with the low tier hero fate level, 10 mid-tier deity level life forms with the mid-tier deity level hero fate level, 5 high-level god spirits with the high-level god tier fate level, and 1 true god tier hero fate level elementary grade god spirit to serve you. 5. Every time a lord conquers a divine kingdom, all the subjects in the territory of the divine kingdom will automatically pledge their loyalty to you. After that, you will have a certain amount of prestige in the myriad worlds. You can attract living beings from the myriad worlds, including but not limited to professional subjects, heroes, god spirits, and so on, giving them a chance to join your territory. In addition, you will also attract 100 low-tier deity level life forms from the outside world with the low-tier heroic heroes fate level of the low-tier deity level, 50 mid-tier deity level life forms with the mid-tier deity level heroic heroes fate level of the mid-tier deity level heroic heroes fate level of the mid-tier deity level life form of the mid-tier deity level, 20 high god tier life forms with the high-level god tier heroes fate level of the high-level god tier hero tier heroic fate level, 10 true god elementary grade god spirits with the true god tier heroic fate level of the true god elementary grade god spirit, 5 true god intermediate grade god spirits with the true god heroic fate level of the true god intermediate grade god spirit, and 1 true god elementary grade god spirit with the true god heroic fate level of the true god advancement of the fate level. A master god tier elementary grade god spirit will appreciate your conquest. When you and your country are in danger, this master god tier elementary grade god spirit will help you and your country once. Zhou carefully looked at this lord talent and could not help but be shocked. Mythical tier, unique level embrace of the conqueror. Not only did its talent name become Supreme Conqueror, but even its ability had been super strengthened on the basis of the legendary tier. Now, after conquering a territory, the Supreme Conquest could actually make all the subjects in the other party's territory swear loyalty to him. It was really a win-win situation. Moreover, after winning the War of Conquest, he could also obtain the loyalty of a large number of experts from the outside world. Just conquering a kingdom could obtain the loyalty of 6 ordinary god spirits from the outside world. Conquering an empire would allow him to obtain the loyalty of 35 ordinary god spirits and 1 true god tier. And conquering a divine kingdom was even more ridiculous. He could directly obtain the loyalty of 170 ordinary god spirits and 16 true god tiers. In addition, he would also obtain a chance for a low-level master god tier expert to attack on behalf of him and his territory. This is ridiculous. Zhou was extremely shocked. He did some mental calculations and was a little stunned. Now that he had conquered a race like the Shadow Clan, it was equivalent to conquering at least 10 empires and more than 300 kingdoms of this race. Which meant, if he took down another Shadow Clan level race tomorrow, other than the 10,000 Spirit Saints Insight Defection experts, he would be able to obtain the loyalty of about 10 true god tiers and about 2,000 ordinary god spirits from the outside world the next day. This was only a fixed gain. This did not include the number of experts that would be attracted by the prestige generated by conquering the people of foreign races. When Zhou thought of this, he could not help but open his mouth wide. He was at a loss, but he was also excited and surprised. He felt like he had been hit by a truckload of pies that had fallen from the sky. The embrace of the conqueror had an astonishing effect after being upgraded to the mythical tier. He didn't expect it to be so powerful. I'm taking off, Jojo thought. To him, this Lord talent came at the right time. This was because he did not want to fight a Divine Kingdom Lord faction for the time being. It would be meaningless for a Kingdom level and below Lord faction to fight. As for the Empire level Overlord faction, he could easily defeat it now. He could completely obtain huge benefits from this Lord talent. After consuming 1 billion green bronze tier Lord talent crystal fragments, 10 epic tier Lord talent crystal fragments, and 10 legendary tier Lord talent crystal fragments, he was left with 2,156,522 black iron tier Lord talent crystal fragments, 480,044,859 green bronze tier Lord talent crystal fragments, 9,239 white silver tier Lord talent crystal fragments, 5,895 yellow gold tier Lord talent crystal fragments, 1,600 white platinum tier Lord talent crystal fragments, 355 diamond tier Lord talent crystal fragments, 12 extraordinary tier Lord talent crystal fragments, 7 epic tier Lord talent crystal fragments, 0 legendary tier Lord talent crystal fragments, 0 mythical tier unique Lord talent crystal fragment. If Uriel brings an army to ambush me tomorrow, I might be able to gather a mythical tier 1 and only Lord talent origin divine crystals. Jojo nodded slightly. As for which Lord talent to upgrade, he already had a rough idea. At this moment, Aaliyah's voice sounded outside the hall. Your Majesty, Lady Carol Moali and Lord Zheng request an audience. Let them in, Jojo said. Yes, Your Majesty. Carol Moali and Zheng Fugue came in. Greetings, Your Majesty, the two of them said respectfully and led the way. Jojo nodded and said, Mugu, come too. Strands of scarlet aura appeared beside Carol Moali and gradually condensed into Mugu's former human figure. Greetings, Your Majesty, Mugu said respectfully. Then, he said apologetically to Carol Moali and Zheng Yuanqi. I'm sorry, my main body can't come, so I can only stand with you in this form. It's fine, Zheng Fugue chuckled. Carol Moali nodded in understanding. Tell me about your growth. Jojo smiled. The three of them nodded. After hearing Jojo's words, Mugu was naturally the first to step forward and respectfully said, Your Majesty, let me introduce it first. Firstly, in terms of my strength, the Scarlet Broodmother that I'm currently in has already been upgraded to the legendary level. The number of Mist Mothers evolved from the legendary Scarlet Broodmother has increased from 10,000 to 15,000. Each Mist Mother's Mist Mother world can now nurture 20 million fog monsters. 15,000 Mist Mothers can nurture a total of 300 billion fog monsters. Other than that, the quality and efficiency of cultivating high-quality Scarlet Heirs has also increased. Currently, I can at most nurture a low-tier deity-level intermediate-grade Scarlet God Spirit. This process will take about 3 days. If I want to nurture a low-tier deity-level elementary-grade Scarlet God Spirit, it will only take about 2 days. Jojo nodded and asked, I remember that if you want to nurture such a God Spirit-level Scarlet Descendant, you have to sacrifice the number of ordinary Scarlet Fog monsters to do so, right? Yes, Your Majesty. Mugu nodded. Forget it then. Jojo waved his hand. There's no need to create a Scarlet God Spirit for the time being. I'll just focus on creating ordinary fog monsters. In fact, he no longer lacked ordinary God Spirits below the true God tier. Especially since he had the Lord talent of Supreme Conquest, a top-notch war recruitment type, he didn't need it. Not to mention a low-tier deity-level God Spirit. Therefore, instead of spending time and resources to nurture low-level God Spirits, it was better to focus on creating ordinary fog monsters and recruit soldiers through the recruitment books and class change certificates dropped by the ranch monsters. In the end, through sharpening the soldiers, God Spirits would be born quickly. Yes, Your Majesty, Mugu said respectfully. Jojo nodded and thought for a moment before saying, "Of your 15,000 mist mothers, 3,000 are left behind to nurture mechanical fear falcons, iron-eating bears, and withered trees. As for the other 12,000 mist mothers, 6,000 will be used to nurture the violent storm demon spirit. The other 6,000 will be used to nurture the yellow talisman Dao soldiers. As such, tomorrow, he would be able to obtain 360 billion yellow talisman Dao soldier recruitment books, 360 billion yellow talisman Dao soldier class change certificate, 360 billion violent storm spirit recruitment books, and 360 billion violent storm spirit class change certificate. If they used both the recruitment books and the class change certificate, he would have an additional 480 billion troops tomorrow. There were only 1.46 trillion soldiers under his command, excluding the soldiers of the Star Alliance, which meant he could recruit the total number of troops he had now just by recruiting new recruits tomorrow. It would be nearly 3 trillion. Moreover, these nearly 3 trillion soldiers would all be Empire-level soldiers. There was not even a second-rate kingdom-level soldier type. Exaggeration. This is too exaggerated. When Jojo thought of this result, he could not help but sigh. This was simply recruiting a total number of elementary divine kingdom soldiers in a day. When Uriel comes tomorrow, I'll use such troops to give he a huge surprise, Jojo thought to himself. At this moment, after Mugu finished speaking, he left on his own accord. Then he saw Zhang Fugue walking out. Your Majesty, the number of mysterious merchants has increased from 5 million to 10 million. The number of carriages transporting goods has also increased to 10 million. In addition, the strength of all the mysterious merchant has also increased to the legendary level. The dimensional space inside each mysterious merchant's dimensional ring has also been greatly improved. If all of our mysterious merchant members advance to low-tier deity level elementary grade, the dimensional rings of every mysterious merchant should be upgraded to small world rings that can accommodate the goods of an entire small world. In the end, our treasure hunting ability has also improved again. In the future, when we go out to do business, we should be able to bring back at least 10 treasures at a time. Zhang Fugue reported respectfully. Sure. Jojo nodded in satisfaction. Every mysterious merchant had a small world ring. Just the 10 million mysterious merchant had 1,000 small world rings. Not to mention that after reaching the low-tier deity level elementary grade, the number of mysterious merchant would definitely increase greatly. What was the concept of a small world ring with tens of millions of levels? Even the super chambers of commerce among the divine kingdom lords would not be so generous. At that time, the mysterious caravan would probably be a first-rate chamber of commerce in the entire high continent, even if it was not the top chamber of commerce. With a chamber of commerce of this level in hand, the trade volume of his blazing sun kingdom would definitely increase by several levels, greatly increasing the kingdom's finances. It seemed that he had to work harder to raise his territory to the low-tier deity level elementary grade. Jojo sighed inwardly. At this moment, Zhang Fugue took 2 steps back and returned to his original position. Carol Moeli stood up. Your Majesty, after the territory was upgraded to the legendary level, the shelter of the goddess of life already has 5 billion clergymen, 5 billion priests, 5 billion nuns, and 50 billion holy knights of life. These clergymen are enough to complete the war treatment mission and resurrect the war with 300 billion troops. As for my strength, I'm still at the true god-tier elementary grade. I haven't improved yet. Jojo nodded. Carol Moeli's strength could only be improved when her territory was upgraded to the low-tier deity level elementary grade, which he had told her last time. The only thing that made he feel a little regretful was that the number of clergymen in the shelter of the goddess of life could no longer meet his current needs for war treatment and resurrection. The need for war treatment was still manageable. There were many high-level doctors in his territory that could satisfy his immediate treatment needs. The key was the resurrection mission. The total number of his troops tomorrow would reach nearly 3 trillion. This had already far exceeded the upper limit of the resurrection ability of these clergymen. Improving the shelter of the goddess of life's Lord Talent's grade is urgent, Zhou thought to himself. Thankfully, he had yet to encounter a powerful enemy that could destroy his 3 trillion soldiers. Even if they faced Uriel tomorrow with their huge military advantage, the final casualties should not be too great. These clergymen from the shelter of the goddess of life should be able to hold on for a while. In 2 days, I have to raise the Lord Talent of the shelter of the goddess of life to the mythical tier, unique level. It's the only way to relieve the pressure of resurrection. Zhou made up his mind. Then, he chatted with the 3 of them for a while about the specific details of the upgrade of the Lord Talent. After he understood more or less, he let the 3 of them leave and prepare for tomorrow's war. Just as he was about to head to the Reincarnation sacred palace to comprehend the Lord's laws, Aaliyah's respectful voice sounded outside the hall again. Your Majesty, His Excellency True God Tier Xian Mei requests an audience. Zhou was stunned. True God Tier Xian Mei? The true God Tier of the Blood Moon clan who was captured today and surrendered later? Let him in, Zhou asked. Yes, Your Majesty, Aaliyah said respectfully. A true God Tier of the Blood Moon clan, who was completely white and naked except for a beautiful and strange blood-colored crescent moon between his eyebrows, walked over leisurely. Your subject, Xian Mei, greets Your Majesty. True God Tier Xian Mei's voice was filled with endless charm.